Bryshere Gray has been missing from the spotlight since Empire came to an end in 2020, and he is now revealing what caused his career to tank. And y'all ain't gonna believe the stories this man has to tell. He went into a lot of detail about how Empire and Hollywood ruined him and threw him out. There was a time when Bryshere had it all. He was a star on Empire, he had a great fan base, and he was making some big money. He was still in his 20s when these great things were happening, so there were high hopes that he was going to be a superstar. But then Empire ended, and it's like Bryshere's career ended along with it, and people have been wondering exactly what happened. Well, according to new revelations made by Bryshere himself, he's the one who messed up and ruined his own career, but he blames the people in the industry for pushing him in the wrong direction. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of things, I need y'all to remember that Bryshere was young when he got cast in Empire. He actually got into music when he was just 16 years old, and he started rapping under the name Yaz the Greatest. And the cool thing about this is that he was willing to invest in himself even as a young teen, and he was very passionate, which is honestly really tragic considering how his career became such a disaster. Okay, so he was trying to get his rap career off the ground. He got a job at Pizza Hut and used his very first paycheck to pay for a music video. He even confessed that he hated the job at Pizza Hut because music was his true passion, but he stuck with it because he needed money to finance his music. He said, "I was working at Pizza Hut. I was just tired. I was like, is this life? I just graduated and I started rhyming and really fell in love with it. When I did my first performance, I was like, this is what I really want to do. People loved what I did on stage. I used my first Pizza Hut check to pay for my music video, and I promoted it everywhere on Facebook at crazy hours. I was writing raps at my job and I got fired." After losing his job, he continued promoting himself and putting in the work, and things eventually changed for him when he ran into a man named Charlie Mack, who would later become his manager. Charlie had some connections in Hollywood, and he pulled some strings to have Bryshere do an online audition for Empire. Bryshere nailed his online audition, and he was flown into LA to audition in person for Lee Daniels, who created the show. Again, Bryshere impressed everyone at the audition, and he landed the role of Hakeem Lion on Empire. The show became a big hit, and Bryshere's career started taking off. At first, he did everything the right way, and unlike many young men who got a big break in Hollywood, he had his head on straight. He continued making music while working on Empire, and some of his tracks were featured on the show. And while working on the show, he was smart enough to keep his eyes and ears open to learn from older actors like Taraji P. Henson and Jussie Smollett. In an interview, he said, "I learned how to treat a woman from Taraji. She teaches me things on life experiences, cooks for me, Jussie and Gabby. We hang out outside of set, and it's like a real family. They've been in the game longer. You really have to listen, and it saves you from making mistakes they may have made." He was also self-aware about his abilities as an actor, saying, "My acting abilities are not that developed yet. TV and film will make you grow fast. Things I'm learning now I was taught in high school but wasn't interested in it then, but it's catching my interest now. Like learning scripts. You gotta wake up mentally and prepare yourself. You gotta be ready for that." His career started getting bigger with him landing roles in multiple shows and movies. He continued working on his music career, planning to release an album, go on tour, and all that stuff, but then everything fell apart. We don't know exactly when things went wrong for him, but some people believe that it started when he got pulled over for driving without a license. In 2019, he was pulled over by the cops in Chicago for a routine check, but things quickly went left when the cops discovered that the tags on his car didn't match the registration. It got worse when he was discovered to have also been driving without a license. The case wasn't a very big deal because he was booked on a misdemeanor and released later the same day. But things kind of went left for him after that because he just kept getting in more and more trouble, and the troubles got bigger and bigger every single time. For example, a couple of months after he got pulled over the first time, he went into a 7-Eleven with a friend, and for some reason, his friend spat on the floor. Bryshere was trying to clean things up when the cashier saw and started yelling and throwing things at him. Bryshere got mad and threw back a bag of chips at the cashier. Even though the police were called, no arrests were made in the case, but his reputation started taking a hit. And after Empire came to an end in 2020, he moved out of the apartment where he was staying, only to get sued by the landlord. The landlord claimed that Bryshere and his dog had caused extreme damage to the apartment, costing over $26,000. The landlord claimed that Bryshere left dog poop smeared all over the apartment, that he had broken the toilet from flushing down too many condoms, and that he had smoked so much weed in the apartment that there was a lasting smell of weed in the apartment, even though the apartment was a non-smoking apartment. Turned out that our boy Bryshere was not as innocent as we thought, but his troubles were just getting started. In July 2020, his wife at the time, Candace Gendar, begged for help from a random passerby on the street, claiming that she was a victim of DV and that her husband had hit her and even choked her until she passed out. She claimed that she had confronted him about cheating on her, which made him angry and he started putting his hands on her. She went to the police and a unit of negotiators was sent to her residence. Bryshere was indoors and the police negotiated with him for 9 hours before he agreed to surrender. He was charged with a felony aggravated assault, a misdemeanor assault, and a misdemeanor disorderly misconduct. His mugshot quickly went viral on social media and people were shocked at how different he looked. There were speculations of drug use and all of that, but he never confirmed or denied it. Candace later revealed that Bryshere had gotten diagnosed with bipolar disorder and ADHD, but he refused to get treatment or take prescribed medication. He ended up taking a guilty plea in the DV case, pleading guilty to felony aggravated assault, and he was sentenced to 10 days in county jail and 3 years probation. He obviously didn't learn his lesson because in October 2022, the police responded to a call of a domestic disturbance at his residence, but for some reason, details about the incident were not made public. Then a couple of weeks later, TMZ reported that he was arrested on DV charges again, after a woman who claimed that she was his girlfriend went to the police and claimed that his behavior was escalating and she was concerned for her safety. She also claimed that he had thrown food at her and would often pull her by her hair. This was a violation of his probation and he got locked up again. He got released after some time, but nobody wanted to work with him anymore because of all the negative press and the fact that he never really sought medical help for his mental condition. He lost all the traction that he gained in Empire, and according to a source, he is full of regrets over how things turned out. He let his fame get to his head and started acting up, and now nobody really takes him seriously in the industry anymore. Well, he still has a loyal army of diehard fans who are rooting for him, and they left opinions say, man, it sucks how he went down. He was great in Empire and the New Edition story. Hopefully he gets himself together and makes a comeback. And he can definitely make a comeback. People love a redemption story. He just needs to stay clean and get focused again. He's still very young with his whole life still ahead of him. But do you guys believe that he deserves a second chance, or do you think that he should be canceled for his